If I change the color, it's smart enough to remove the color cast on the subjects, not the background. That's pretty cool. But in this case, I want all of that color. So again, very quickly disable the color and done. Okay, how many of you guys use Lightroom or Capture One or Photoshop? You can do this with masking, right? Yeah, for sure. But if you mask a subject that has hair and you zoom in on it from here to here, what happens? You will see the mask edges, right? So can you make a mask in Lightroom that as you change the exposure, it'll even change the little spots of dirt in the sky and every pixel? So the reason there's no masking in the software is we're at a point in technology where it can adjust every pixel independently. So no matter how far you push it, every hair will be there, everything will be represented. So straight out of camera, edit it. Portrait photography, this is actually a really good foundation, and it can just fill in the details. So this is fun, and this has been really fun to create. I've spent so many years focusing on trying to fix colors in Photoshop, getting them back to what I think they are, creating separation, whether that's the camera sensor or any other reason. So when we started creating this software, I wanted colors to stay accurate. And it's really important because our intention when we're shooting is to capture something that we see. But we're at a point where any professional camera is not giving you what you see to begin with. They say, oh, it takes work to make it look normal again. The other thing too, color, I'm gonna go right through these. I have so many. Let me just show a couple things here. So as we start making adjustments, and I'll just show this really quickly, if I can grab this. It is a little awkward standing and trying to do this. So this is an image. It's not my image. It's a stock image from Adobe. The free ones, because we're a startup, sorry. It just removes color cast. So you see, in this case, the sliders don't do much. So this is now the starting point for images. So instead of starting here, we start here, and then we can make the changes. Very quickly get the image that we want, before and after. In portrait photography, this is really interesting too, because it becomes even more important to be able to recognize different levels of exposure. Like, this is a pretty nice image, right? It's not mine. I'm not very good at this kind of photography. But here's the before image. So notice now with natural light, there's the natural light cast on the subject. So she's a little warm. And then the background you can see is a white wall. So while removing the white, you can still maintain the skin tone. So this is really interesting. No matter what the skin tone, we can maintain and sort of build around it. This is really cool stuff. And what's nice about it is it continues to improve. So I follow some amazing photographers like that just do beautiful portrait work, and it looks perfect. I can't do that, right? There are going to be issues with my images. And what we can do is we can begin to mitigate problems before it even edits it. So, for example, something like this. So this is a really interesting image. So I'm lucky enough to have friends who take amazing photos and they can challenge me. So it's like, give me something that's challenging. And I got this. And I was like, there's a lot going on there on this one. But in a similar way, the skin tone can be represented, and I can still make adjustments to the exposure, and it won't mess anything up. So what Radiant Photo gives you the ability to do is quickly either finish a photo or have it developed from the start. Isn't that interesting? And you guys, the next presenters are so much more interesting than that. Like it's not something that I expected to be working on years ago, right? Like now, the CEO of a company, it feels like I'm like an adult now, right? Like, oh yeah, someday I'll, maybe I'll do that. But having the opportunity to take all the knowledge from working with color in the field, having experience working with different software companies, and now getting to apply color science into photography, I'm thinking about AI in a completely different way. So why can't my professional DSLR camera give me developed photos? Does anybody know the answer? The technology hasn't got there yet. In 10 years, it will. It's the software. How many shoot on the iPhone? Okay, and everybody who shoots on an iPhone says, well, the images look better on an iPhone than an Android, and then you have one Android user in the family that breaks the text chain and you argue about it, right? So if you think about it, and we know now, the lenses, they're pretty cool, right? The sensor, that's pretty cool too. But what's making these images is the software in between. So the only thing that we don't have now on professional cameras is that software interface in between. Yet. So if you remember 10 years from now, when everything just comes out perfectly developed, and you actually think back to it, you'd be like, oh, I remember when that used to be an issue. Why was that ever an issue? Kind of like, oh, remember when you had to use paper maps? Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Now we have Google Maps. It's the same thing with AI. So if you are on the fence about it, try it. And the whole philosophy with this software is we continue to improve it and we continue to make realistic results. Because in my opinion, I can't edit all of your photos for you, right? That's your job, that's your style, that's our signature, our style. But I can definitely say I would rather have a developed image from the start. Or I'd rather have help via plugin to finish an image. I mean, that's what's kind of important. And that's Radio Photo, guys. Marketing talk complete. I also have the right slide for the end.
Whoa.
I didn't accidentally close it. Thanks, guys.